Welcome to our workshop on how to think about pricing your services. I am Leah McLaughlin, the director of the Bay Area Entrepreneurship Center for Skyline College. And this is a pretty quick rundown of 3 different approaches to how to think about pricing your services in the barber and beauty industry. So there's 3 basic ways to think about your pricing. There is the approach of competition, which is to look at what are other people who are doing similar businesses pricing their services at, thinking about how you compare and pricing your services to be competitive with them. There's also the approach of thinking about how much it costs to deliver your services, and then setting a price that covers that and gives you the income that you want and is covering all of your costs. And then there is the approach of thinking about what does your customer feel like the value is of your service, which is a little bit of a trickier, almost esoteric approach to pricing and is more challenging, but we'll cover it and talk a little bit about how to think of a value approach. All right, so like I said, most common approach is competition, to look at, well, what are other people doing and how do I compare and price my services accordingly. The issue with competition approach is that it sort of assumes that other people know what they're doing. Other businesses in your area know what they're doing around pricing, and a lot of people are kind of try to figure it out also. But let's take a look at how this might look. So I just did a Google search for some spas online and in a similar area, geographical area. So we have Luminous Day Spa, and they have, as part of their package, some facial treatments that they are pricing at $179. Looking at one of the reviews, Helen says, amazing experience from the service to the ambiance. Great review. They also give us Bellinis after, which is a nice surprise. So this place is included in their price is their environment, the quality of the service, and then, as we've talked about in some of the previous workshops, those added benefits. So they're giving a little drink at the end that makes people feel like they're getting a little extra luxury as part of that package. So let's compare that to Belleza Day Spa. This is close by, and they also are doing some facial treatments. I'm not an expert in the spa packages, so these seem similar to me. Those of you who are estheticians might feel like, oh, this is really different. Pardon me for not knowing some of the details, but their prices are really similar. Each are around, one is $175, the other is $179. They also got a pretty good review, and kind of talked about the service. If we compare just visuals that I could find online, I would say the exterior of Belleza Day Spa is a little bit more basic. They're not putting a lot of attention to the ambiance, and there's no mention of these added benefits that they're giving as part of that package. So I would say Luminous Day Spa is offering a little bit more value for their price. And you can also see that they are getting a higher score on their social media. They also have a larger number of reviewers, 98 to 24. this business may have been open for longer, but what I'm seeing as possibly Luminous Day Spa is competing on price. They don't want to charge more than their competitors in the area, but they're offering a little bit better experience, and that could be resulting in higher bookings. So they could be a more successful business overall, and they're deciding to give a little extra value than their competitors in the area so that they have a more full booking. So we have a little worksheet that is included in the description of this video, where there's some questions and just ways to evaluate your competitors in the area. So you can just do a really simple approach, like look on Google Maps and see who's out there, just like I did comparing these two spas. If I was a customer looking for a spa in my area and I was looking at these two Google Maps presentations, I would definitely go with the Luminous Day Spa over Belleza. I'm like, okay, prices are similar, but I feel like I'm getting more value and a better experience at Luminous. So that's just kind of a way to think about, you're new on the scene, maybe you feel like you want to keep your prices really competitive, but you want to offer a few little extra added benefits, like, that beverage or some other little touches that are going to attract people to book with you over other people in the area. Or you could say, hey, I'm offering such a better experience, I can actually price higher. Or you're looking at people in your geographic area and you're thinking, I'm new to this business. They seem like they have it down better. They're more professional. And I can't compete with them on price. So actually I'm going to lower my prices so that I can get people to come to me rather than maybe a more experienced service provider in my geographic area. So just ways to think about, what is the value that I'm providing for the price that I'm charging, and how does it compare to other people? Okay, so going back to pricing, another way to think about setting your prices is to really look at what is your service costing you. If you haven't done this yet, go to our other financial workshop that takes you through understanding the different elements and financial modeling of your business, because that is essential to a cost-based approach to pricing. So if you've done that workshop already, you'll remember that we had this page that was about variable costs, and we thought about prices and then looking at what the real revenue is from that service, deducting variable costs like the processing fee and direct materials that are getting used for that, and thinking about gross profit. And then we were doing an analysis of what is your hourly rate. So you can use this page of that workbook to think about, how much do I want to make hourly? That's your labor cost for the service. How much are my materials and like credit card transaction fees going to cost me? And then when you figure out the labor and material costs of that service, it can help you determine whether your price is correct. But as we explored in that workshop, there's more to cost than just what your labor for that, delivering that service directly, and the direct material costs. As you might recall, we had that element of fixed costs. Some people call that overhead. So that's like your rent, your utilities. So the cost of that service also has to pay for part of those monthly costs that you are paying. So that's why this worksheet exists, is to play around with prices and making sure that your prices are paying for the direct materials, the direct labor of delivering that service, but then also they're going to cover all of your fixed costs and then give you the income that you want to have. And as you might also remember in that workshop, we went over, in addition to the fixed costs like rent, utilities, etc., there's also your overhead of labor to run a business. There's time that you need to spend in accounting, marketing, cleaning and maintaining your space, client management, other activities that are behind the scenes, and your services need to pay for that also. So all of that goes into really deeply understanding the amount of time your entire business is taking, all of the costs that are going into that, and then using that dynamic spreadsheet that we created to help you play around with price and make sure that your prices for your services are going to cover the true cost of your business. And a lot of people don't do this level of analysis to understand all of these factors going in to their business. So you want to think about, again, the direct costs for that service, labor and materials, but then all of that overhead that goes into running your business. So that's a cost-based approach. The last one that we're going to go over is value. So this is not, what does it cost me to deliver the service? And then I want to charge something that covers all of those costs, my time, the overhead, the direct materials. But what does the customer feel like the value is? And what they feel that the value is might be unrelated to the cost of your business. My favorite way of kind of explaining this is coffee. So I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with Starbucks. This is their pricing sheet. And if we look at how they price coffee, this is value a little bit disconnected from the cost of the labor and materials of the coffee itself. So if we just look at the first item on the list, Cafe Americano. So their smallest size is $2.65 and their largest size is $3.65. Now the labor and materials to brew a small and a large, this is just their filtered coffee on hand. I don't think that it's $1's worth of difference in the raw materials, the coffee, the filter, the water, etc., that went into it. This is probably a cost difference of pennies, but they're saying, hey, if you want to feel like you're getting a lot extra and you are comfortable paying a $3.65, then we're going to offer you that size. Another way that people talk about this is not leaving money on the table. Different customers and clients of yours might be able to afford different prices. And in a way, this approach to pricing gives people a range of options based on their comfort with prices and spending. Another example of that is we can compare a Cafe Americano with a white chocolate mocha. So it's almost, this is a couple dollars more. Is the cost of the materials $2 more and justifying that price? I think it's maybe 50 cents more in direct materials. I'm guessing a little bit here. But when you order this, you feel like you're getting a more pampered specialty drink. And you're willing to pay a bit more for that. Now, if you're somebody on a budget and you're just looking for coffee and some caffeine, you're going to go in and get the lowest price item. So they're serving a range of customers with different comfort levels of spending. And then, as we all know, Starbucks has all of these customizable drinks. So you can have a pump of this, a pump of that, mix different flavors, and each of those cost a bit more. And some people end up paying $7 or so for a drink. And we get into the Frappuccinos, those also start to go above $5. And so those are people who really feel like, oh, I want a treat. I want to feel like I'm giving myself a little extra. I need a little pick-me-up. I want to spend a little extra on myself. And so they're walking away feeling like I got a lot of extra value here. And I'm feeling like I am having a luxury experience, a pampered experience. And you're allowing people to spend extra on themselves to give themselves a feeling of extra value that they're providing and you're providing to them. So there's not a lot of great examples in this industry that really can exemplify really well this difference of value approach to pricing. But I did find some that might get a little bit close. So I'm going to go over to a couple of websites and we can look at the pricing on their websites. Thank you for hanging in there with me through this transition. Okay, so this is Dapper Down. We talked about them a little bit in the logo brand building video, and you can see that they have some different prices for services. It's not totally a values-based approach because these different services really are taking different amounts of time. So they really are costing them more to deliver. You'll see that they have a basic haircut that's an hour and 10 minutes. And then they have a premium haircut for a little bit more, and it takes a little bit more time. And they're doing like a facial treatment on top of their cut. So this is really, it is costing them more in terms of labor. And this is pretty common in this industry, is that things that take longer and maybe use a little bit more materials are charged a higher price. I think the one example is they do have this Dapper Special. Again, it does take longer, but in a way it does exemplify giving a menu of different options to serve different customers who might have different price points. So they're giving this more like full luxury Dapper Special that is, it is taking them longer and costing them longer. And it is giving customers who want to spend a little bit more on themselves and feel like they're getting a bit more of a luxury experience, a pampering experience. People sometimes feel good spending money on themselves. And so they are giving these different options at different price points to meet a wider range of customers, maybe from different socioeconomic backgrounds, or perhaps sometimes people have the regular cuts and then occasionally they want to do something a little nicer for themselves. This spa, on the other hand, I felt like had some more true values-based approach. If we look at these body treatments down here, we have one that's 45 minutes costing starting at $84, and then another one that's only 15 minutes more and it's starting at $140. I don't know enough about these services to really determine that the direct materials that they're using, the difference between the body polish and the body scrub, maybe those materials really cost a lot in difference. $55 worth of difference. I'm a little bit skeptical about that. So this is showing that, it's kind of giving people some different options. About the same amount of time, but a treatment that might feel a little bit more pampering, or like you're getting this extra special thing that might not cost them that much more, but it's making the customer feel like, oh, I'm getting this. I'm willing to pay more, and I feel like I'm getting more value for myself. I know I'm not explaining it super well, but in the values-based approach, you just want to think about giving people the opportunity to spend more without it costing you a ton more, and that there's different people who are going to be comfortable with spending different amounts of money. And sometimes people want to spend more money, and it makes them feel better about the service and that they're pampering themselves. And so having some of those options on your menu that might not cost you a lot more in terms of labor or direct materials, but it's allowing people, it's not leaving money on the table, it's allowing people to spend a bit more lavishly, and also serving the people that might want something, but they are on a tighter budget. So I hope that helps think about pricing. It's not easy, and it takes time to really think through and understand what's best for you. I would explore all three of these options, and just kind of coming back again to our image, we had the competition, value, and cost base. And I would think about all three of these and help them narrow down what prices you really want to choose for your services. All right, as always, I hope this helps, and we are available for consultations.